Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Little Saturday check-down edition of Purple Daily. Just days away. You could say hours away from training camp. It's like kind of a lot of hours. It's just like
hours.
Like 4 days worth of hours.
But we're a day away from quarterbacks reporting. J.J. McCarthy will set foot in the building tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, he's probably been like in the building a lot just on his own. But officially, like stepping foot in the building for reporting day tomorrow. So as we've been doing all throughout the week, Judd's going to give us Judd's Camp Notes preview item of the day. Which category have we emerged into here on this Saturday?
Today we're going to go with, what the Vikings call outside linebackers, OLBs, what I like to call edge rushers. It's more
OLBs.
sexy. Edge rushers, pressure from the edge, which,
Football.
by the way, worked out extremely well for this team in 2024. Grenard, great year. Van Ginkel, great year. Patrick Jones, who's now gone to the Carolina Panthers, had 7 sacks as the primary backup. So the Vikings will enter training camp with 7 OLBs on the 90-man roster. And I want to talk about one in particular. It's fair to call him the Patrick Jones heir apparent now, but certainly a guy who over time should get a more and more expanded role. Let's talk about Dallas Turner. So we know that, Grenard proved himself, had a great year, I thought. Van Ginkel, a very, very good year. And as long as the health of both those guys holds out, we know what they can do. Dallas Turner, we don't know yet. 3 sacks. I don't think he had, there are some, it feels like, to me at least, that there's a feeling like he had this disastrous rookie season after the Vikings traded a lot of collateral in the draft to move up and get him. But, he didn't have a great year. He didn't play a lot. And this defensive system is pretty intricate. It's not surprising, I guess, at the end of the day that he didn't play a ton, as long as he starts to play a lot more this season. And with Patrick Jones gone, that opportunity is good. I think Dallas Turner is one of the more, like, the McCarthy discussion is the most interesting because he's a quarterback and he's going to be starting. But I think Dallas Turner is among my top 3, like, what can he do now? Because now I would say it's fair to say this. It's go time. Like I'm willing to be patient. There are rookies who stepped in, like Verse with the Rams, who had immediate impacts. Dallas Turner didn't have that, in part because the 2 guys in front of him played great. But the preview here is it's go time for Dallas Turner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Vikings were really aggressive, not just with Dallas Turner in that draft, but in the undrafted free agent process. They loaded up on stud college edge rushers in the draft a year and a half ago. So in college football in 2023, among edge rushers, and there were hundreds, a few hundred qualified edge rushers in college football in 2023. Well, Dallas Turner was tied for 14th in total pressures with Bo Richter. They both had 55 total pressures. And above those guys for UCLA was Gabriel Murphy, who had 61 pressures. So of the top 14 out of like several hundred college football qualified edge rushers, call it like 200 or 300, the Vikings either drafted or signed as an undrafted free agent 3 of the top 14 pressure guys, just sheer total pressures in college football from the 2023 class. So I'm obviously Dallas Turner is number 1 in terms of upside and the guys you want to keep an eye on. But at training camp, I'm really excited. Early in training camp last year before the injury, Gabriel Murphy was being used, rotated with the ones, and Bo Richter showed some flashes. So that's a really fun group to keep an eye on behind Grenard and Van Ginkel all throughout the next few weeks at training camp.
I know the football people, like Mina Kimes talks a lot about how much she loves Brian Flores and the Vikings defense, and how much Flores has really gone to bat to the front office to say, let's bring in these guys. Let's bring in Van Ginkel. Let's bring in Jonathan Grenard. Let's get the pieces that fit my type of scheme. And even though Turner was buried a little bit on the depth chart, but did have some moments last year where you saw something special, now that he has more of a runway and And Flores just didn't make that pick randomly. I know Kwesi gave up a lot to go get him, but you can't tell me that Flores didn't have an influence on saying, yeah, if we can get Dallas Turner, absolutely let's pay a price and go get him. And now that he has more clearance, I'm excited to see what he does. He might not play every single snap, but the more it's a lot like starting. The more pitchers you can have, the more edge rushers you can have on defense, the better. I'm excited to see what he can do.
And I think what's nice too is, to that point, in Flores' system, if Dallas Turner shows up to camp and has progressed a lot and proves that he knows the system and can combine his athletic ability with success, because of how the Vikings structure their defensive philosophy, it doesn't need to be, well, Van Ginkel and Grenard need to come out. Like, who's going to have to sit because Dallas Turner can play? Like, there are different packages. We've talked about this. I would not be completely surprised if Turner at times, and he was certainly used this way, I think probably sparingly, but he was used this way last season, is off the ball at times. Like, there's different ways to get guys on the field if they're prepared to play. And so I don't think that this is, well, Grenard's going to have to come out for this snap. Now he will. They'll rest guys. But I guess my interest here is, are we going to see a Pat Jones role on steroids? Like the Pat Jones role.
Hopefully not literal steroids.
No. The Pat Jones
4
role.
games or 8 games.
Yeah, yes, good point. Will we see the Pat Jones role, but it'll be increased because Turner deserves to play more than Pat Jones did?
Yeah, so I actually have the snap counts open from last year too, and some of this is probably going to change. I mean, there could be injuries because Grenard and Van Ginkel both played. I think they both played every game, or they played. Yeah, they did. They played all 18 games. They were both at one point or another nicked up. Like Van Ginkel was on the injury report a couple times, but I'm pretty sure he played all 18 games.
Yep.
But Van Ginkel and Grenard both played just under 1,000 snaps. And there's usually, like, Byron Murphy played 1,100 snaps on defense. So, and Van Ginkel and Grenard were like, they both missed like 140-ish snaps. I think Byron Murphy was out there pretty much every snap. So, a few series here and there, those guys would come off the field, or they would add a third edge rusher in certain, it's 3rd and 12. Let's throw Dallas Turner out there or Pat Jones as a third guy. So those guys played most of the snaps, call it like 95% of the snaps. But Pat Jones played 459 snaps, Dallas Turner 310. So I could see taking away a few snaps from Van Ginkel and or Grenard, even if they're healthy for all 17 games. And then Turner gets up into that 500, 600, 700 snap range. But then there's a few hundred for a fourth edge rusher. And maybe that's where like a Gabriel Murphy comes in or a Bo Ricker. They've got some other veterans too, but yeah, it kind of feels like, and now too with the down linemen, they've got a grouping here of, they got the 3 starting down linemen, but then they've got the 2 main edge rushers, Grenard, Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner. That's 6 guys right there that are going to be regular. But I think that's going to go from 6 probably to like 9 or 10 that you are regularly. Jalen Redmond and I mentioned Gabriel Murphy on the edge side. They've got guys you can keep dudes fresh more than you could a year ago at this time.
Absolutely. Yep. And the Gangster, I believe, is 30 now too. So
he is getting kind of old.
So might want to, to your point, Phil, pull back on those snaps a bit as well. I just think that Dallas Turner, there's going to be a load of opportunities here, and he is a first round pick. And by saying I don't think that his rookie season was a bust, I'm also not trying to like make excuses here. He needs to play a key role. He was drafted too high not to. And I think that this is the first season, while all eyes obviously are on McCarthy, where the other guy taken in the first round of 2024 also should be expected to do a lot more.
It's the first round status is making us view this a little differently and with a little more urgency than maybe we otherwise would. Because this isn't the first time where the Vikings have had a high-end young edge rusher that needed to be molded, and you're going to kind of ease him in. I mean, Everson Griffin, but the difference is Everson Griffin was a 4th-round pick, not because of talent, but because of some off-the-field behavioral stuff, right?
Yep.
Which, unfortunately, is...
It's come back up, yeah.
Yeah, still rearing up. And then Danielle Hunter back in 2015, 10 years ago now, was a third-round pick.
Yep.
But those guys were both drafted as like, whoa, if we could mold them into their peak version, which they did, they could be monsters. But it's probably not going to happen the first season of their careers.
Right.
And Danielle Hunter came in as kind of a rotational guy, played 14 games in 2015. He was a backup. He started one game. He only had the 6 sacks. And then it was year 2, big jump. As a backup, by the way, Danielle Hunter did not start a game in 2016, but he still tallied 12 and a half sacks. Mm-hmm. Everson Griffin came in. 2010, Jared Allen was still pretty much at his peak. Brian Robinson was in the mix. I think Ray Edwards was probably still there in 2010. And so Everson Griffin did almost nothing his first year. Did not start a game until his third year. Was not a regular starter until his 5th year in 2014.
Yeah,
that's when he really started to break out. But because he was a mid-round pick with some off-the-field stuff, you're like, yeah, he's a
Sure.
project. If Dallas Turner was a second-round pick or a third-round pick, there'd be much less urgency to see it now. But they gave up draft capital to get him. He was a first-round pick, so it is go time. But some context is needed. They've done the slow cook thing twice over the last 15 years with guys that panned out very, very well.
Mm-hmm. And I also think the difference a little bit there too. Well, so Griffin had some off the field things again after his rookie season. I think he got arrested twice in California.
When was he tried to organize like a party bus?
That was the same year. Like he did 3 things. Like he got in trouble twice, and then he tried to do a party bus to the Super Bowl, and the Vikings were like, "Stop that!
Stop with the party buses."
But in the case of both those guys, they played in 4-3 defenses where the defensive end could pin his ears back and just rush. Like the Vikings are asking more now. That like the 3-4, you're an outside linebacker. You're sort of a defensive end, but your responsibilities are different. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to be patient with Turner, but also expect that he is going to take a major step as far as snaps go, at least in contributions this season.
Yeah, it'd be fun. That's also a position group that I know they're not like actually tackling and hitting quarterbacks in training camp, but you can see those guys flash, especially during full padded practice.
Yes.
You could see, I mean, because they're trying to get by a left tackle or a right tackle, and you can kind of see the battles taking shape.
The explosion.
The explosion.
Like that first step, bang, are you gone?
First step quickness, the oily hips. Yeah.
I love that one.
I'm looking forward to it. It should be, Dallas Turner is definitely, I would say if he doesn't produce this year, it doesn't mean that it's over. But it would be disappointing to see Jared Verse have the immediate impact that he's had with the Rams.
Yes.
And Dallas Turner not give you anything of substance for the first 2 years.
If they don't, I think the first question is, because with Flores, I think it's a lot about trust. If the snaps don't increase drastically, that's my first thing is like, whoa, why aren't they? And then with that, should come along sacks and statistics, but it's the trust factor, I think, that becomes the most important thing. Because the worst sign would be if the Vikings are like, he's not really picking up on things, which I don't think is the case, but like that would be, because if he's not, Flores won't play him.
Right.
He's not going to screw around with him.
One last thing just on Bo Richter. Don't sleep on Bo Richter.
I like Bo Richter. They love Bo Richter.
Bring your kids to camp and watch Bo Richter. Air Force.
Guy. Yep.
So of all those edge rushers in the 2023 college football season, Bo Richter was 4th in PFF's pass rush grade. He had a 92 pass rush grade with those 55 pressures. And they also have, it's called the pass rush win rate. Mm-hmm. And their ESPN has a version of this, and then PFF has one. I'm trying to see how they define this. It's just percentage of wins versus blocking on pass rush snaps. So it's kind of subjective, but of all those edge rushers, Bo Richter was 3rd, right behind Laiatu Latu from UCLA, who was like a 1st or 2nd round pick.
Yep.
And ahead of like Chop Robinson. He had a 23% pass rush win rate in college. So, yeah, Dallas Turner, definitely the headline to watch, but Bo Richter and Gabriel Murphy are going to be fun to keep an eye on.
And last season as a rookie, Bo Richter had 29 defensive snaps, okay? 3%. Special teams, though, 267, 71%.
Yep.
This guy shows up to work wanting to play football.
That's right.
We all do.
It's very militant with his Air Force background. So all right, Judd's. That's Judd's Camp Notes preview item of the day here. We'll have more. So Monday, so Dex has Ventline for tomorrow, and then Monday we're going to devote a bunch of time to the Mr. Mankato grouping of players that we started coining back a decade ago on our old radio show. The under-the-radar players, and we named a couple of them here, but the under-the-radar players to watch at Vikings training camp. And just some, because I know a lot of you guys who listen and consume are going to be out there also as fans watching practice. So this can be kind of a cheat sheet for you to keep your eye on some fun players that might not yet be full household names. So he's the sports dad for Judd's Camp Notes, for Dex, for Phil. This is Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you.